Hello everybody, this is part 2 of the Stewart Warner AM shortwave radio repair. And the last time I posted anything about this radio was about 7 months ago, and it was a basic evaluation after I'd bought the thing at a local flea market for $12.50. And I would love to see what the price was on this thing when it was new back in probably somewhere between 1932 and 1934. I still don't have a model number for this set, but we know the chassis is an R110 chassis, and they use this particular chassis in the console radios like I have, and also in a few tabletop cathedral style sets that Stewart Warner built as well. And it's basically the same premise of the chassis and speaker all mounted into just a different cabinet. Now, the first part of this video, like I said, is going to be kind of shaky because I'm using my handheld webcam, but here's a look at it. A little bit better clarity than what the Kodak camera can give you. The veneer is in really nice shape on it. The top needs refinished, of course. The dial I have spun up right now, but it's actually broke. There's not much of it left in there. It's busted. And I think what we have is tuning, power, band selector, and tone. Grill cloth still in decent shape. It's got a couple rips here and there. I like the ornate styling of the cabinet. Very fancy. And we got one spot that's broke right here. And that was broke when I bought it. And that can be glued back together and fixed up fairly easy. I noticed looking at this upon the first evaluation that this and this control knob, the power and the band switch selector, are bent. I'm going to have to bend them back, and this one here is kind of bent too. Don't know why, so I must have clipped this and shoved everything sideways maybe. To look at the sides are in very good shape. Like I said, the top needs refinishing, but it's not hateful. And look at the other side, it's pretty good. So, the basic chassis of this thing is fairly easy and fairly laid out. Here's what we have for tubes. We have a nice voltage chart. We have our schematic there at the top. And we have a parts list. Now, we also have the alignment instructions for a model 110. It tells what the circuit is in this radio and how it works. This does use a push-pull style amplifier, coupling two 2A5s together for the push-pull part of the amplifier. And it's two-banded. It'll pull in the AM band from 530 to 1715, it says, and then pull the shortwave band from 2500 on up. And it does have an automatic volume control and automatic noise suppression. And further down here in the instructions is how to align it, locations and functions of the aligning adjustments, preliminary steps in aligning, the aligning procedure, aligning the IF circuits, and adjusting the RF and oscillator circuits. And all the way down here, this last line, it says, no adjustment is provided for aligning the set for a shortwave band. So all this, minus this top half right here, as a description, is all alignment procedures for the AM band of this receiver. So I'll pause the camera for just a minute, and we'll turn the cabinet around and take a look at the chassis. Okay, here's the chassis view. All the tubes. Nice beefy transformer up front here. Down underneath is our speaker, which probably also couples as a choke in the power supply. And I'll disconnect that when I pull the chassis and leave it up here for right now. We don't need that quite yet. We just need to focus on what needs done in the chassis. Here's a nice tube location chart. And that says something Warner A receiver 324 on what's left of that dial. Here is its RMA certification. And the two 2A5 push-pull output tubes. Up front here's our 80 rectifier. Our number 27 down front here. This is a phase reverser. This tube right here with the grid cap on it is an automatic noise suppressor tube, and it's either a 35 or a 51. I don't remember exactly what this one is. I'll have to pull it out and look at it. It's one or the other. I think it's a 51 if I remember right, this particular one right here. And here we have our number 55. I think I'm in the right spot. Nope. Here's the 55 right here on the other side. That's our second detector tube. Our number 27 is our oscillator tube. And these three along the side, this one, and this one all the way in the back, you can barely see, are all three number 58 tubes. One is an IF tube, one's a second detector, and one's an RF tube. So this radio has 10 tubes total in it. It also has its original cloth covered cord, which I wish was in decent shape. I like the plug on the end, it's kind of neat, but sadly it's got to go. I can get some repo cord material, it's no biggie, that's easily bought. But what perplexes me is the bottom of this cabinet. Now see, there's holes along this side and holes along this side, and it looked like something's set in here. I don't know what. There's a ghosty outline. It runs right along this back, and the screw holes over here. What you're noticing we're missing is probably an antenna, because all that's left of that is this one wire poking out the side right here. That's the antenna wire. But I don't know if that was to go to an outside antenna. Nobody knows, you know. I've found very little information on this set, so if anybody wants to add their 2 cents to what these chassis model R110 would require for an antenna, please let me know. I'd be very interested, and if I have to locate parts I can get it done, or have to make something I can get it done fairly early in the restoration. The little rubber pieces that go under the chassis and the cabinet, some of them are gone, some of them are squished out. We're going to have to order some rubber grommets for the tuning capacitor. It's loose, it bobs all around. We obviously need a dial scale in the front, up here. And there's also another rubber, like an O-ring or a grommet of sorts, that rides on the tuner knob that actually turns the gear on the tuner of the tuning capacitor, I should say. It's kind of similar to an Atwater Kent, and I need that rubber bushing too, or whatever you call it. So let me get some tools. I'll pull this chassis out, and we'll take a little bit closer look at her with a clearer camera. You guys can take a good look at it. Okay, down here in the bottom of the cabinet, messing around with the speaker. I've got to unhook this tether that goes up to the chassis. Now one of the wires goes up here and solders directly to the voice coil leads. And the other three go down inside of the speaker housing itself in this cup right here. Now, I'm figuring that that's probably like a coil or something inside of there. And it's been cut before, probably for service. So I'm going to have to mark these accordingly, make sure everything gets back where it belongs. And I can see on the side of this speaker over here, oh, I can show you, it has been patched before. And the same on the bottom down here. It's been patched a little bit. But somebody done a nice job. And just pecking at the speaker got pretty good sound just bouncing the cone with a finger. Very kind of throaty sounding. So all the chassis bolts are out. And you can better see these holes down here I was telling you all about, here and here. And then here and here. So something bolted down in here. You can see an outline too. Along the cabinet right here is another piece. Something was down here at one time. You can see it right there. Don't know what to think of that. So, I get the speaker unhooked, and we'll go from there. Okay, the deal's been done. I've cut the umbilical cord. But what I did was mark silver to silver on this, red to red on this, black to black on this, and then the lead that has no color coding goes up here and attaches into the voice coil lead right here on the speaker. And this wire just went through this grommet and tied in a knot and come back and went into these. I've got plenty of wire, and if I want to replace these, I might, because it is kind of grungy in spots. And this down here is very nasty looking. Well, we've got time to think about that. We got to worry about this first. So I'll get it out and set it up on top and get some good light. We'll take a look underneath in clear video in 720 HD. And here it is out of the cabinet. And you really get a sense of how big this thing is. It'd make a pretty heavy table radio. This thing probably weighs in at about 25 pounds. And the chassis is very flimsy too. It's kind of flexible because all the weight is in this front corner right here where the transformer's at. And that's one heck of a transformer. That thing's huge. You can see how one of these output tubes get these two A5s. The sticker's all black on the top. Here's our tuner. I was telling you that it's loose. This is the rubber grommet I was telling you all about right here that runs the tuner. And if you turn it, nothing happens. It's shrunk up. This is our power switch that's badly bent. I'll give you a head-on view of that. You can check that out. Look how bad that's bent. Wow. We can fix it. Like I said, I think this is a replacement switch anyway. Here's our band switch. It's about the same way. Bent. Our tone switch. At least they all turn and work. And our little dial bulb. And it makes me nervous when I see these guys take these tuning capacitors off of these radios. I'm thinking, oh boy, how are you ever going to get that put back on? But it takes some time and some learning how to do these, and you'll figure them out probably. And I don't know where the wires hook up to this one at. It must be underneath. That'll be fun. Might be able to take the wires off wherever they attach under the chassis and then pull this out as one assembly when the time comes. I did find a patent sticker inside of here. I didn't know that I had. And one of these tubes, I want to report too that none of the grid caps are loose on these tubes, so I won't be testing my grid cap skills anytime soon, thank goodness. I have to wait for the RCA 210 to do that. Pull this out. This is a Cunningham number 35. It doesn't have a 51, it's got a 35. And this was replaced 416 of 37 by Charles Kochendorfer. Main Street, Sandusky, Ohio. So I think this is probably a local radio. If only these things could talk, huh? The history we would probably learn from them. We got a Sprague 600 line dry electrolytic condenser, which these are only 8 microfarad, 8 microfarad, and there's another 8 microfarad box capacitor underneath it here. That'd be cool. I hope these will shine up to like the chrome you see a lot of these guys polish these up to where they're almost mirror finish. Transformer's going to need a little work. It's kind of rusty on top, but the clamshells look pretty good. So I'll lay this down here for a minute. We'll tip this up and take a good look underneath. I want to anyway, just to kind of refresh my memory what this looks like. Figure out how to tip it around without breaking anything. There we go. Alright. I said there's very little under this radio that really needs a lot of work. I mean, geez, we've only got the 2 electrolytics on top. We got this one right here. We've got this one here. Here. Capacitor, capacitor, capacitor. And that's it for capacitors. Wow, there's really not a whole lot in here. Here's our audio output transformer down here in the bottom. And still got the old, sporting the old dog bone resistors in here, which will all be tested. I'm sure there's some that's pretty far out of tolerance. Here and here. This looks like a big resistor of some kind, big power resistor of some kind, using the metal as a heat shield, heat sink. You can really get a sense of how bent these switches are. I might be wrong on that. That must be the band switch right there. And this must be the tone switch. Probably is, because that's a capacitor. So that's probably your capacitor for the tone switch right here. And then your power switch. And a fellow wanted to know what this was. And he said it looked like a Mallory wire wound potentiometer. And it is a Mallory. So AM station engineer, you were correct about that. So, let me look real quick here. It's a Mallory N carbon 500 megohm. Well, that's exactly what it should be, because that's what the specifications on the schematic call for. It's been replaced, obviously. Let's see what this thing says on it. Oh. You really can't read that. Thought maybe you could. Anywho, we got some of the old domino capacitors in here. I think she's pretty well unmolested, guys. It's always nice to find one like this. Here's our antenna lead. Go up here on top. And our wires to our speaker go out. And our power cord lead, which has been spliced on right there with some electrical tape. Both there and there. So yeah, that switch has been replaced. That's not a factory job right there, I wouldn't think. This don't look like a very intimidating chassis at all, really. I think we'll be alright with this one. So guys, you got any questions, comments, leave them in the box below. Plus wanted on Google Plus, blah, if you like it. Here's something interesting too. Here's two Utah resistors tied back to back to make a resistor the correct value. And that's kind of neat too. That's a I've seen one of these before on a video. That's got like lead ends on it. And isn't that one of those carbon resistors that's got like the pencil lead inside? John, you've seen these before. Is that what that is? I'll have to look on the schematic and make sure. So guys, for now, the next time you'll see this, it'll be down on the workbench. We'll do some tests. Make sure all of the the transformer ohms out correctly. Make sure the audio output transformer is good, that all the coils in the set are good. We'll go through and check the tubes and stuff like that, and we'll replace the parts. But the transformer needs checked first, and we'll go from there. And if that check's good, we got a live one here. So that's all for now, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Sorry it was shaky. I like this web camera because I can move it around and get into where I want to. Just hope I didn't make anybody sick. So until next time, this is Nathan. We'll see you later.